a lot of people are saying it's going to come down to the standings. And we last week ourselves, Callie, said this was a 2-woman race between Angel and between Caitlin.
And then Rickea.
Are we selling any other rookies short? Is there another rookie who is saying, hey, don't forget about me, Callie?
Rickea said, hey, y'all. And honestly, you talked about upsets. I would say that this started when the Sparks upset the Aces because she was balling out in that game. She had 14 points and 6 rebounds. But then, in a loss to the Mercury, yes, it was a loss, but her first performance over 20 points. And it was clutch. Like she was doing stuff in the third quarter, trying to push the Sparks back into the game. Like, I just don't even know what to say. Like, it was just 10 points. 10 points in the third quarter, including like some really cool like grab and go stuff. Like she just like that was good basketball from Rickea.
Yeah. It's her season high, 22 points. Rickea was always thought to be the rookie that would translate the best to the WNBA in terms of like all around. She's supremely talented. She had a WNBA ready game. There was so much in the beginning, you know, like push for her to become a starter, which she is, and she's been great. And I think, which it's obviously a very unfortunate event, the injury to Cameron Brink. But I think, because I think with her and Brink on the same team, it's sort of complicated both of their spots in the Rookie of the Year race, because one night one would go off, one night another. How do you know, they were both doing big things on the same team. But with Cameron Brink, unfortunately, lost for the rest of the season, it gives Rickea the spotlight to shine as a rookie. Now, the Sparks are unlikely to end up in the playoff hunt, but, you know, making the playoffs, I don't think is a requirement for Rookie of the Year. So if we're going to see more games like this from Rickea, and we'll see how she fares in some of the head-to-head matchups later with some of her other rookie class, but could she make a legitimate case to really get into this Rookie of the Year race, Callie?
I think absolutely. Like if you look at just her last 4 games, she's averaging 15.5 points per game. She's shooting 43.8% from deep, which I think is really impressive. I think it's what we've been talking about this whole season though with the rookies, is that like every team at this point has a tough schedule going forward. Like the Sparks got to face the Minnesota Lynx next. And Kurt Miller even said after the loss of the Mercury, he's like, if we play like we did in this game, we're going to get blown out by more than 20 points when we see Minnesota. And so it's like, you cannot have these incredible performances and blow out losses. Like, I think that, you know, this Rickea 20-point milestone, like that wasn't like, you know, 84-78 loss. It was still a very competitive game. And I think that the Mercury, for all intents and purposes, are a competitive team in this league. But if you like, you know, go in your next game, you get blown out by another competitive team, then I think it's harder for people to push you into that Rookie of the Year conversation. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, I guess, sustain this level of play, especially for the Sparks. I mean, I think, you know, we talked about that upset over the Aces. That was, I think, kind of like personal for that team. They really, really wanted to win that game, but you weren't seeing that type of competitive energy in their previous 8 games. They were on an 8-game losing streak. I think that's another reason why we weren't really talking about Rickea, because the Sparks had not won a game in 8 attempts. So it's like, yeah, I think we want to see sustained competitive showings.
Yeah. And I mean that, like, look, this brought up a really valid question to kind of like wrap this up, because Monica McNutt recently said it's going to come down to the standings for her. And what's funny is like she's been saying that. So when the Fever were higher in the standings, it applied then too. And I didn't see an outroar until it was said when the Sky were up in the standings. And so she said, on this day, I would give it to Angel Reese, the Rookie of the Year, right? And but there was a huge uproar, and someone like Monica McNutt, who we know knows this game inside out, was questioned about her criteria. And I don't think, at least to me, the way that I understood it, And I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I don't think she's saying like whoever just is best in the standings is going to win. I don't think it's that. I think it's more of like, this is such a close race. And so if you're looking for things to differentiate the two, give a tiebreaker to, you know, because there's a lot of talk about co-rookies of the year, which I do not want. We're not doing any damn, like these are not participation.
We're not sharing the trip to the White House.
One wins and one does not, and that's okay. Okay. It doesn't mean the other didn't have a great season. And people are going to use different criteria to set apart who they think should win. But I don't think that being the best in the standings is a requirement. So if Rickea starts to ball out and starts to break records and set crazy things, I don't know that she should be ignored, right? Because of her standings, because as so many people pointed out, this is a team thing, right? So Rookie of the Year is not a place where you should count standings. I think if you're trying to decide between Caitlin Clark and Angel specifically, if those are your two final candidates, I think it's okay for them as a criteria, because both teams have the chance to make the playoffs. Both teams are right there, right? And so if there's one rookie that does a little bit more and pushes their team into the playoffs, right? Then I think that's fair. They both might make the playoffs, right? So right now they're in the 7 and 8 spot. And we talked about this. I think both are going to make it, because I don't think the dream can emerge and get back in that spot, right? So it's 3 teams battling for 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And those are the 3. So we'll see what is to happen. But, and I think because of all of the Caitlin Angel stuff, people just want to make it about those two. But I just want to make sure that we are like fairly looking at the rookie class and not ignoring anyone. And Rickea Jackson is definitely worthy of consideration and talk and chatter. So, look, this is going to be a fun race for the rest of the season. We're midway through. It's going to definitely be a fun Rookie of the Year race.